it appears that there is more and more fire and smoke enveloping the very top of the building. And as fire crews are descending on this area, it does not appear that there's any kind of an effort up there yet. Now remember, oh my God.
Oh my God.
That looks like a second plane.
I did not see a plane go in. That just exploded.
Many of our parents probably have a personal memory of the 9/11 story, but we, the young generation, probably have a personal memory of a prolonged war throughout our childhoods and adulthoods with no end in sight.
Closet gun. There's some guys squirted running off. We're inbound.
When I first read The Watch last year in college, a novel on the Afghanistan war, I realized that our society has been completely detached from our wars in the Middle East. The soldiers in the novel displayed agony over civilians and politicians not paying attention to our prolonged wars. Our ignorance of our wars have led to mass mayhem, confusion, and death, and I believe it is our moral obligation to help those affected by our wars in the Middle East. To quote a veteran from the Iraq War, at some point, students and the general public must learn that it is their civic responsibility to understand and assess violence being waged in their name. Our first direct intervention in the Middle East was when the CIA overthrew the Mossadegh government, who was shown here in 1953 in Iran, for the sake of preserving our main interest in the Middle East, oil. However, we never directly intervened again until the first Gulf War in the early 90s, and then our longest lasting intervention after 9/11, where we have been involved in Iraq and Afghanistan. However, one can argue that we have been indirectly and directly involved in the Middle East for quite some time now, given that we have always supported Israel by supplying them with weapons such as tanks, rifles, and helicopters, to name a few. And also, we have supported and erected monarchies and dictatorships in the past, such as in Libya, Iraq, and Saudi Arabia. Ever since our wars on terror, the Middle East has had an unfavorable view towards us, as shown by the Pew Research Center, with only 30% of those in the Middle East having a favorable view on us. So why is it that the people's dominant ideology is to look down on us? Why do terrorist groups want to destroy America? In other words, to quote Noam Chomsky, why do they hate us? Aside from supporting oppressive dictators and monarchies, one reason is the drone program, heavily expanded by Obama and continued by Trump, which has resulted in massive collateral damage. The Washington Post reported the program proved to be incompetent, as seen by this leak revealing startling statistics. As you can see, the strikes have been proven to be barely 50% effective. Thus, we have seen increasing amounts of hatred against us and terrorist groups like ISIS emerging from our drone strikes and from disastrous foreign policy. Then there was the Arab Spring.
It was the year of people power, of revolution.
Something I've never seen before, a phalanx of men on horseback and on camels.
And bloodshed that doomed dictators.
No one's going home. No one's going to go home. We're in this till the end, even if it means we're going to die.
The Arab Spring in 2011 was a grassroots movement among many Arab people to transition their countries into democracies. However, most failed and chaos ensued, leading some countries to turn to civil wars, like in Syria, and others in turmoil.
Allahu Akbar.
The US did very little to support the revolutions, nor directly intervene militarily, thus creating the many issues at hand today. Why should we care? Well, We must follow our mission statement. The Gonzaga experience fosters a mature commitment to global engagement and solidarity with the poor and vulnerable. We are waging war in our name, and it is up to us to take full responsibility for the U.S. military and the policies we enact across the world. Also, there's been a spike of anti-Muslim assaults, and more than 2001, in the U.S., and we need to stop the mayhem both here and abroad. Furthermore, Arab countries genuinely do want democracy. We can be a proponent of democracy and start a new narrative of an America that genuinely helps organic revolutions fulfill their dreams of upholding freedom and rights to other people whom are otherwise suffering from our policies and inaction. So, what can you do? Take Arabic at Gonzaga. Only 1% of college students take Arabic across the nation. Learn about Islam. Talk to Muslims in your community and befriend them. Read the news of what's going on in our foreign policy in the Middle East. Wrestle with it. Research it. Elect officials with good and sound foreign policy. Connect with your congressman or woman or representative and tell them to be more aware of our policy in the Middle East. I want to end with the remarks of Salam Fayyad, the former Prime Minister of Palestine. Quote, I have just told you how fascinated I was at noon on the 20th of January every 4 years when somebody's hand is on the Bible being sworn to the presidency. But the road to get there, can anyone say it was easy? People tend to forget how long the process took and they begin to take democracy for granted. I find all this incredibly fascinating, but the fundamental point is that it did not happen overnight, end quote. And the fight for democracy is not over in the Arab world, where they desire our same values and beliefs of freedom and democracy for a more just world. And it is our mission to help those longing for joy, peace, and justice.